Well, hello there and welcome to the channel. My name is Derek and today we're going to be talking about the Akai MPC Key 61 and how I use it live. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are now. We are in front of the MPC Key, and so the way I use this keyboard when I use it live is its most important job is actually playing backing tracks. And so that's what you're listening to there. You're listening to some backing tracks for a song. Let me go back to my main menu and just kind of show you how I have things set up here. Now, the way Akai does things in the MPC is you have a whole project. So you have a whole project, and the name of the project here that I have is called Live Performance. And inside of this Live Performance, I have multiple what are called sequences. Now, a sequence can be up to 999 measures, and you can have up to 128 sequences in a project. And the way I use sequences is I use it here, as you can see. I use it for the intro, and this is verse 1, this is verse 2, this is verse 3, this is verse 4, and here's another song. It's called Heart Verse, and that's verse 1, and then that's verse 2. And so I load all my songs in using the sequences. Now, this particular song, the first song that you were listening to, the BPM is set at 69.75, and the intro, it has 10 measures. But if I go to the verse 1 is actually 16 bars. And verse 2 is going to be 12 bars. And verse 3 is also 12 bars. And verse 4 is also 16 bars. So you can change the amount of bars and stuff that you're going to be using for your intro and for your verses or whatever it is that you're going to do. And down here where we're looking at what's called your tracks. So I have loaded up here a drum program. Now, a drum program basically is just samples on your pads. It doesn't necessarily have to be drums. It's any sample. Okay. So in this program, I have all of my drum samples loaded up that I actually record using Logic. So here's one of them. That's one of my samples. This is another sample. Right, so in this drum program, I have all of my samples loaded up, okay? If I go to the next track, my next track is piano, so all of my piano samples are loaded up. Right, and then we have our next one, a bass here. So I have all of my various samples loaded up inside of the unit. So I just recorded everything inside of Logic and then brought everything over. I just saved it onto a flash drive, and then I put the USB flash drive in the back of the MPC Key, and after that, you're just kind of off to the races. Now, another thing that I also do is if I come over here to my metronome, I can actually turn my metronome on so you can hear it when it's playing, and I can set the outs to 3 and 4. So that's what I do if I'm playing with other band members. I set the metronome here and I put it out on a separate channel, so the metronome would actually go out on its own channel so that your drummer or other musicians or whoever it is can actually hear the click. And I send the click to front of house as well, so that it's a separate item that everybody can hear if they need to when we're all using in ears. So that's the way I have that set up. So I'm able to set up the metronome itself to be on a separate channel so everybody can hear, and if you're playing with a band, everybody can stay in sync. But the way I have it set up, rather than just having like one big backing track with all the instrumentation and stuff in it like this, I have all of the different channels completely separate. So the bass is going to be separate, the organ is separate, and this way I can go in, I can adjust the effects, I can go in, I can adjust the various levels and stuff like that, even while on site at a live gig, right? And then, of course, if, hey, you know, let's say another keyboard player shows up and he's going to play the organ, or I'm somewhere and they have an organ, we're going to play an organ, and I'm going to still play the song, what I'll just do is I'll just mute the organ part so that no organs will be played. The person will have a click, and the organ player can then play along with everything. So really nice and easy, convenient how everything is set up there. And as you can see here, if I go to my next song, this one is called Heart Verse, and I can literally come over here like this, and so now I've got an EP loaded up on this one, and I can hit play. Right, so I've got that set up. I can come over here to what's called main, go to my go to my menu and go to next sequence, and all of my sequences there are laid out. And all I have to do is hit the pads to go to the next sequence. And as you heard in the intro, everything goes in time. So I could be playing. Come over here. So as soon as I get to the other song, it's already set up to have that sound to go with it, right? So, but everything happens in time. I just hit the pads, and it's very, very convenient because the pads are nice and big for live performance, and I can hit them really at any time, and it will go to the next one. And so I can skip around. If I don't hit another pad and tell it where to go, it just loops. So it's kind of like Ableton Live, Ableton Live in that way. So that's how I do my live performances with the MPC Key. Now, when I use the MPC Key, it's an auxiliary board. It's sitting on top. I've got my auxiliary sounds and stuff loaded in here. Because really, we would be, I'd be singing over this. But I'm just not going to sing today. But yeah, normally I would be singing over it. But I do have a sound ready to go in case I am going to play a solo. So in this particular song that you were listening to, I use sounds from the MPC Key 61, as well as the Roland Phantom, and as well as VSTs. It's mostly VSTs, but then there's some sounds from, those other keyboards. And then I just bring everything in here, and it's really easy and really great to use live. Now, let me just come over here. Let me just go back, and we're just going to load a new project that's just going to be completely empty. Don't save. And we're just going to load a We're just going to load a blank empty project here. So I'm going to say empty project. Boom. And so it pulls this up here. And let me just pick a sound. What sound do I want to do here? It doesn't really matter. We'll just pick a piano for now. That'll work. Right, so I can load this sound. So this sound is loaded up. I can come over here to edit instrument, and of course I can do a lot of different edits and stuff like that for the instrument. I've gone over that in other videos. But what I can do here, let's go back to my sounds. I can come to my key ranges, and I can actually So right now I have the piano loaded onto track 1. If I go into my main here and let's go to track number 2. We'll just pick a different sound for that one. So I'm going to go back to my sounds here and we'll pick another sound. We're just going to go fabric. I'll go to warm pads. What's this one here? All right, so now I can go to my key ranges, and now number 2. Now if I hit shift and hit that, now we got both. So there's some people that don't think that you can actually layer sounds in the MPC Key 61. You absolutely can. And I can use these, you can use the pads to mute and unmute sounds. So now number 2 is actually muted, and number 1, the piano's playing. And if I come back into my main, and I'm just gonna name track 2, we'll name this, I'll just name it pad, do it, and we'll name track number 1, we'll name it piano. Real simple stuff, boom. And then I come back to my sounds, and I come back to my key ranges, and now you can see they're labeled. 1 is the piano, and 1 is the pad. Now I can set up my splits and stuff really easily as well, if I want to, by just simply moving it, right? So I could set up, you know, different splits and layers and stuff like that. And you can load up to 8 different plugins at the same time. So you can layer and split 8 different sounds at the same time. And then you have your mute pads over here where you can mute the various pads, and you can set up mute groups as well, so that when you hit one pad, you know, maybe 2 of them get muted and 1 of them comes alive and stuff like that. So you can actually set it up to play live and have your sounds and stuff like that ready to go. Now, the thing about the MPC Key is there's a loading time on your sounds. So if your thought process is you're going to be on stage and you're going to be, you know, flipping around through sounds and finding something that works, this is not going to be the best keyboard for that. But if you're going into a gig and you are prepared, you got your 8 sounds already ready to go, and then, you know, you should be really good to go. Now, if you need more than 8 sounds, if you need to layer and split, and you need, you know, tons and tons of sounds and stuff like that for a gig that you need to be playing live, I think that there's other keyboards on the market that can do that better. Yamaha Montage, Roland Phantom, all that kind of stuff. But again, the way I use it is I use it as an auxiliary board. So I'll load 8 sounds up, and then those will be the 8 sounds that I need as far as auxiliary sounds. So it might be a pad, it may be, some sort of a synth sound, maybe some sort of, maybe some sort of a bell, or, just, auxiliary sounds, horns and stuff like that, not the main sounds that I'm playing. And in that aspect, it really, really thrives. And just having the very, very powerful sampler and stuff like that, where I can play back those sample tracks, play back those backing tracks, and don't need to use Ableton Live or something like that, has really been a real treat. And so I still use my laptop live, and I'm normally using MainStage, and I'm using some of the sounds out of MainStage and using some of the sounds out of the Roland Phantom or another keyboard at the same time. But now my laptop doesn't have to do like double duty where it's playing tracks out of Ableton Live. I use this to play my live backing tracks, and I can, send the front of house the click, and everybody can hear the click, and it just works really well. So as far as my workflow and stuff is concerned, this works very, very well for live playing. Now, if I'm going to be playing everything live and I'm not going to need any backing tracks whatsoever, then I normally pick something else to bring. But if I'm going to need backing tracks, this is the keyboard that I use. And so anyway, I hope that you got something out of this video. Doesn't need to be that long. Yes, this can be used live as well. And as far as only being able to load 8 plugins and stuff like that, it never really slows me up because I use it as an auxiliary board and not my main board. And one of the main reasons I don't use it as my main board is because it only has 61 keys. And because of my playing style, I need more than 61 keys. So anyway, hope that was helpful. I thank you guys for watching. Stick with me this long, and I will see you guys on the next video.